I think copyright protection is paramount to us moving forward. That protection against theft of intellectual property is very critical.
If something's patented, then other manufacturers have the opportunity to do one of two things: try to steal the data and try to do it the same way, or more importantly, and this is what I like more than anything, innovate around it and do it completely different, and then find a way to bring more innovation to the market.
If you've stolen a really good security protocol, that's great. So that, I think that's what's
semi-great, Cindy. It's still stealing.
I'll have you know, since I couldn't get Rudolph here in the north of Columbus, I have a gopher I've been working on to add to my Christmas. Steve the Red-Nosed Gopher. It's
That's
not
awesome.
Copyright infringement at all.
Good Lord.
Run! It's Godzilla! It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not. Still, we should run like it is Godzilla! Though it isn't.
Top 50, Barco wins a lawsuit against Yealink, and major lighting trade show calls it quits. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 746, recorded Friday, December 5th, 2025. A glorious pain point. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and the IT world. We have lawsuits, cancellations, and new products. Let's get into it. Our top story, Barco announced this week that it has successfully enforced 6 U.S. patents against Yealink, securing judgments across a series of cases related to wireless collaboration technologies. A U.S. federal court found that multiple Yealink products infringed on Barco's ClickShare-related intellectual property, resulting in injunctions and financial penalties. The ruling represents one of the most significant patent enforcements in the UC peripherals category in recent years. Barco says the decision reaffirms the company's investment in research and development and protects innovation in the collaboration space. Yealink has not released a formal public response. Massey Frankfurt confirmed that Pro Light and Sound will not take place in Frankfurt next year. The organization cited shifting market conditions, exhibitor uncertainty, and the need to reevaluate the show's long-term positioning. 2025 edition will still be held as planned, but the organization says it will use 2026 to redesign the event format and determine whether the show returns to Frankfurt, moves locations, or evolves into a brand new model. For manufacturers and integrators in live events and entertainment technology, this pause creates questions about product launch timelines and the future role of regional exhibitions. Meanwhile, new data offers a clearer picture of the Pro AV industry heading into 2026. AV Network has released Pro AV by the Numbers 2025, highlighting consistent industry growth across most solution areas. Sean Wargo of Apache Insight says the key takeaways include continued expansion in media processing, control, and cloud-based workflows, along with rising investments from both higher education and corporate IT. The report notes that AV over IP remains the fastest growing infrastructure category, while service-based revenue continues to outpace hardware-only sales. Now, despite supply chain normalization, integrators report that labor shortages and accelerated refresh cycles remain top concerns. UC Today reports that Microsoft Teams is advancing its strategy to become a full telecommunications platform, expanding calling capabilities, operator partnerships, and PSTN integration. New features focus on enterprise-grade call reliability, AI-assisted routing, and centralized management for IT administrators. Analysts say this places Teams in a more direct competition with traditional UCaaS providers and telecom operators, especially as enterprises consolidate communication platforms. These developments further position Teams as a core infrastructure layer rather than an application reinforcing Microsoft's growing footprint in enterprise communications. And finally, a new product launch in the AV over IP space. Visionary has announced the XB5, a next-generation AV over IP platform designed to support ultra-low latency encoding, native USB transport, and advanced multi-view capabilities. The XB5 series includes both encoder and decoder models built for larger-scale deployments in corporate, education, and entertainment environments. Visionary says the new platform delivers higher bandwidth efficiency, improved network flexibility, and future-ready compatibility with evolving AV over IP standards. The XB5 begins shipping next quarter. That's your AV news. Stick around for this week's roundtable where we will look at the SEN Top 50 and do a deeper dive into that Barco lawsuit. This is AV Week. Welcome back. Now we bring in our fantastic roundtable. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered. First and foremost, my buddy Willie Franklin. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you, Tim. Always glad to be here.
Good to see you. A woman I have known for a ton of years, and I realized recently I have done a disservice to myself. This is the first time that Cindy Davis has ever been on AV Week, and I am incredibly ashamed of that. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great, and I am honored to be here and all lit up about it.
Well, thank you very much. I seriously, I turned around, I was emailing back and forth with her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have never had you on. So I am very, very excited, and this is not going to be the last time. At least I hope not.
Another one on the naughty list, Tim.
Well, and here's the thing. The reason I say hopefully she'll be back is because Joel Carroll is also here. So how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, Tim. It's just an honor to be here on Cindy's first podcast. It should have been a long time ago, Tim.
So here's what we've got. We've got a couple stories this week. First and foremost, and I have told Mark Pescatori this for years, SEN Top 50 is one of my favorite things that happens in the industry all year long. I don't do anything with it. I have no affiliation. I just think it's freaking fantastic that we're able to kind of take a look at in a snapshot of the industry. If you've never seen it, go to avnetwork.com. It's probably I can almost guarantee you it's going to be the top thing that's on their website right now, at least for the next couple of weeks. So SEN Top 50, here's what it is. A couple of things really quickly. Number one, it is self-reported. That is important, and I'll tell you why in a second. Doesn't make it less valuable, more valuable, but it is what it is. The folks that want to be on it are on it. They give Mark and Cindy and the team, hey, here's our numbers, okay? This report shows a couple different things. Number one, continued consolidation. I'll tell you about that in a second. Number two, ongoing pressure for those mid-tier folks. Number three, an increase of the delta between number one and number 50. Top 10 are this. You've got, not to be silly and not that anybody needed me to remind you, number one in the world, AVISPL at 1.6 billion with a B. One thing to point out there, AVISPL is still the only billion-dollar AV integrator globally. Number two, Diversified, Forte changed their names this year to AVI Systems, so 6-1 half dozen the other. Rico, EOS IT Solutions, the combined Yorktel and Kenley, and that is one of the consolidations that happened. IES Communications, Paladin Technologies, Solotech, and Solutions. Really quick caveat. This is where I remind you that AVNation is owned by CTI. CTI is an integrator out of St. Louis, and we do not submit for the SCN Top 50, not because of any reason that we think it's bad or anything. They just decide not to. I have no decision in the matter. Let's continue. Cindy, I'm going to start with you on this. Just like last year, I mentioned the delta. The delta between number one and number 50, $1.6 billion and 20 million.
Right? I mean, do you even need to ask me about it? Just put this back out to everybody listening to this. I remember, gosh, I don't think it was that long ago, when AVISPL became, just eked over the $1 billion mark. Now it's $1.6 billion.
Yep.
I mean, that's nuts. I mean, that's great for them, right? In the company. So you know what? Just throw that delta out because the industry's not big enough to sustain several $1 billion companies. So it is what it is. There's really not much else to say. In fact, in a way, it'd be interesting if you took out the top 5 or 2, and then looked at the industry, right?
So, okay, let's do that really quick. And this is off the top of my head, so don't quote me on this.
Oh, me either.
Diversified is roughly 900 million,
Yeah.
right? And SPL again is 1.6. So at number 3, you've got Forte / AVI Systems. They were roughly, this is off the top of my head, 600 million, I think, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that neighborhood. And again, 600 million down to 20. That reminds me more of where the industry was 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, because I still remember when AVI SPL crested over 500 million, and we were all like, "Oh my gosh, like $500 million!" And now, we're talking a full billion over that.
But they're a global company. I mean, so just this morning I did my roundup of acquisition story to post, and actually I wait because there's always the ones like, "Are we done? Are we done with the acquisitions for this year?" Probably not. There'll be more. And AVI SPL, I mean, that's how companies really grow, is through acquisitions. I mean, BuyAmp is a good example of that. I mean, it is part of their strategy. And certainly AVI SPL, I mean, that's how companies grow. You know, you don't grow incrementally without like doing big acquisitions. So it's, you know, will AVI SPL be at 1.8 or 2 billion, you know, this time next year? Who knows?
Who knows? All right, Willie, what does this say to AV and IT managers, this list of top 50? Does it matter? Does it matter that your favorite integrator is number 20? Or if you start going out looking for, you know, 2 or 3 folks to give an RFP to, do you look at the top 10 or do you look at the bottom 10 or do you not even pay attention?
That's a good question, Tim. So I'm going to answer that really from my experience, my lens, right? Not being deeply seated within the industry, but deeply seated within the higher ed environment and managing tech. That said, while the naming does matter to be on that list, typically that local circle is our wheelhouse. You know, we're not really casting a broad net often, and that's because we have to have people who are readily available to join us at our location versus reaching out across the miles at the company that is the top 1, the top 2, the top 3. The other piece of that to answer, does it really matter? It matters only from a business, well, I need to be careful how I word this. When it comes to business development, when it comes to buyout, when it comes to gaining more market share, of course, all of that matters. But for the manager, for the integrator, it's can I rely on that partner to give me what I need, almost regardless of brand, right? Because I'm thinking of the end goal of keeping my clients, keeping my stakeholders happy. And truth be known, and again, this is through the higher ed lens, truth be known, they just simply need it to work, right? It is very different if you're bringing in a Nobel Prize winner, if you're bringing in a Pulitzer Prize winner, if you're bringing in a known scholar in that environment. That's where that top tier matters. They want to hear who you are, where you're from, and how fast are you growing. From the technology standpoint, they want to know, what are you putting in? Will it work? And does it eat into my budget? So yeah, I love the numbers. I like to look at more granular detail. But again, through my lens, it makes for an interesting read, but not one that'll move the needle for me.
Joel, from your perspective, you know, you've been in around the block once or twice. You know, what does this tell you about the industry and the health of the industry, as our friend Sean Wargo and Apogee was able to kind of deep dive and write a compendium article about the numbers?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. One, and this may not be something a lot of people would expect me to say, I think it shows that there's a lot of opportunity in the industry, possibly even for new and smaller integrators as they come out. All the ones in the top 10, 20, I've worked with all of them. They're all great companies. And the reason they've got there is they've been able to focus. What are the type of markets they're going after, what type of projects are they going after, how do they want to attack that, right? Do they want to attack it just regionally, globally? Cindy talked about AVSPL's global, but Willie also said, I need somebody here locally. It's a good opportunity, I think, for people to look at everybody, what they're doing, what's working, and maybe also look at where are some of these larger guys not focusing. And this is where I think some of those smaller companies can and will succeed as they come out. So for me, a lot of people will look at this and see all the consolidation, and it's absolutely true. There's a lot of consolidation, but that's not to say the smaller guys can't find a niche and also make it. It could be they just work with Willie and a few other schools in that area, or they work only with car dealerships or only with, Chick-fil-A's or whatever it might be. So every time I look at this, it's interesting to me. But also from my manufacturing background, it also helps me understand, what type of company I need to work with where I have the most opportunity for growth, especially at some of the smaller manufacturers that are out there. I'm excited about it. It's awesome. It shows that there's a lot of opportunity and growth. There's a lot of mergers, a lot of acquisitions. But I still believe there is a lot of opportunity that's currently untapped.
Knowing that this question was coming up, and since I send out an email newsletter every morning, I polled the AVIT managers. I asked, when looking for an integrator, do you use the SEN Top 50 Integrators list as a resource? And, you put out a poll. It's like, what are people going to say? I hate it. No. So I'm not surprised. 69% said yes, always. 15% said, no, I have my own list. And the other 15% said, not yet, but I will.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's interesting. Yeah.
That's and then good for you guys, too.
Yeah. So, you know what? It's kind of like, why wouldn't you at least look at it and say, well, who's on there? You maybe want to know what integrators are. You might not even be familiar with the integrators that are in your area.
100%.
So it's a good resource.
It's a good resource, and like I said, I'm not blowing smoke because Cindy's here. I've told Pescatori this for years. It is one of my favorite things that they do. There's two things as we wrap up here. One thing I noticed as I'm going to say a trend, but interesting to me is the number of global partnership members that are on that list. We mentioned Forte. Forte is a member of GPA. I mentioned Solutions. Solutions is a PSNI member, right? So you go down that list. There's a number of folks on that list that, to Willie's point, may not be in your local area, but they have connections. They have partnerships. They have ways to get jobs done as well, regardless of where they are. But the other thing is what Joel said is there's a lot of opportunity there because what we're seeing is as mergers and acquisitions happen, there's fallout, right? No shade here at anybody. When a merger and acquisition happens, people are laid off, people are let go, or they simply don't like the new ownership, so they exit stage left and they start their own. And what I'm also seeing is those folks that are towards the lower end of that SAM Top 50, a lot of those folks started off because a merger and acquisition happened and they started their own gig. And I think that's kind of cool too. Yeah. All right. Second story from AV Magazine. We did this the full story in the newscast, but Barco has been awarded financial damages after a ruling that a competing product infringed on ClickShare related patents. That product was from Yealink. This is not the first time that Barco has sued somebody. If you've been going to ISE for a number of years, you may recall there was an incident on the show floor of ISE where the Dutch government came in and confiscated some product because Barco sued somebody. But Willie, we're going to start with you on this. Patent rulings, quite frankly, we haven't done a patent lawsuit in a minute. What practical impact do these decisions have on the folks making the decisions at the AV and the IT space when it comes to the products that they are recommending or the products that they are putting in their systems?
This for me is a glorious pain point, and I say glorious pain point because I think copyright protection is paramount to us moving forward. That protection against theft of intellectual property is very critical, and it's something that I've always taken serious throughout my career. That is one way that I can assure me, my clients, and others of reliable consistency in product. You know, if everyone's able to build the exact same widget, regardless of who created that initial widget, without anyone really owning the concept of that widget, it can get a little confusing, right? Which basically means that I can go out and buy any widget, blue, green, yellow, pink, fit them together, and they're going to work. And we know that's not the case. So for me, this lawsuit is very important, you know, and I find myself, when I was reading that article, I was reflecting back on a conversation and really more of a listserv thread 15, 20 years ago. Okay. And it was centered around HDMI cables. And perhaps it was shocking for me and others to find out that HDMI itself is copyrighted and the specifications are protected via copyright. The HDMI licensing industry regulates the use and the brand of that logo. The reason this bubbled up on the listserv is someone raised the question about utilizing legitimate HDMI cables versus third-party knockoff cables with HDMI connectors. You know, which was legitimate, which adhered to appropriate copyright, because we were really in the throes at that point of copyright in higher ed. That was like the focus of so many groups. So obviously tech was a part of that. So in looking at Barco's challenge and stepping forward, I have to tip my hat. I know litigation is not a cheap thing, but it is very important that we safeguard that. While at the same time, how do we encourage growth and innovation and not step on the toes of copyright or intellectual property? So that's a long-winded answer, but it is important. It always will be important. And we really have to hold people accountable. But we have to be careful and make certain that we're reading the fine print as far as whether it's legitimate infringement of one's copyright or whether two people sitting at the pub just happened to sip the same beer on the same night and came up with the same darn idea, and one managed to get the patent and the other is chasing the death of that patent license before they can push their product on the market. I digressed on the last part.
Joel, you have worked for a manufacturer the vast majority of your career, so take it from that angle. And, you know, as Willie said, that could be two guys, you know, coming up with, you know, two guys and gals coming up with the same idea at the same time, or somebody coming in legitimately and saying, that's a very nice object you have there, I'm going to go steal it.
For me personally, when I look at this, and I'll look at it from the perspective of something we probably will never talk about on the show ever again, Tim, but prescription drugs. When you're looking at drugs and the patents and the things that are out there, on a regular basis, as soon as something gets patented, it go out, a generic comes along, and their goal is to go and find ways to legally make that patent no longer available. And they're actually in the background making the drug and trying to have it happen in the meantime. So when the patent's no longer applicable, they can go sell it. We don't see that nearly as often in our space. And I'm thankful for that, because patents really truly should protect R&D that the manufacturers put in. And I don't think a lot of people really realize the dollars and cents and just the knowledge that comes to do all this. It's not inexpensive to do it, so we should be able to protect it. A different perspective is this, though, and Willie kind of talked to it for just a minute. If something's patented, then other manufacturers have the opportunity to do one of two things: try to steal the data and try to do it the same way, or more importantly, and this is what I like more than anything, innovate around it and do it completely different, and then find a way to bring more innovation to the market. Number two, I feel that's the right way and the best way to do it. And it gives all of us, again, on that manufacturing side, so much opportunity to find, hey, this company's doing really great. We're finding that SpaceX, regardless of what it is rocking. We want to get into that space. Let's do something different. And then we're going to take that market over and we're going to win it by storm. And to me, the patent helps do that, right? It shows you what you need to get around so you can make something different, better, and potentially, beat that competitor. And a lot of the smaller guys out there have always been able to do that. Large guys too, but a a lot of the smaller guys, that's how they innovate and they get around and they have the opportunity to get into the market.
Joel, I think that's a really great point, because you've seen a lot of companies like, this was like the best widget. And then sometimes, like you said, a younger company, it's like, takes it, reshapes it, whether was the core of that one great product or something completely different, just blows it out of the water, and you've got a new product that is just, sets itself apart.
Cindy, is this something that IT folks need to worry about when it comes to their standards, when it comes to folks that are trying to develop an enterprise layout, or is it something that they should rely more on the integrators and the manufacturers to kind of figure this out, and this is just kind of noise in the background?
Willie and Joel, you might have a different opinion, but I don't think it affects the IT department. It's what affects the IT department is whether or not the standards and security has been put in place. Whether you've stolen that or not, make sure those things are in place. I mean, if you've stolen a really good security protocol, that's great. So I think that's what's going to be most important to.
Well, some might agree, Cindy. It's still stealing. Yeah.
Well, I'll have you know, since I couldn't get Rudolph here in the north of Columbus, I have a gopher I've been working on to add to my Christmas. Steve the Red-Nosed Gopher. It's
That's
not
awesome.
Copyright infringement at all.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I'd like to add to what Cindy said for just a second, because while I 100% agree with her, and I'll take it one step further, is in large multi-location companies, this is where it could be most detrimental to them in this scenario. So let's say they put out company A and they've installed it everywhere. And then company B is the one who actually owned the rights. And they go, you can no longer buy more of that product. Now, they're probably going to be able to still use it. It's still there. Doesn't affect them as long as it's secure, to Cindy's point. But now company B is going to have to go out and tell everybody, hey, it's us or nobody. And now you've got to re-standardize, redeploy. Your user experience in the room is going to change. It's going to cause some confusion. So to some extent, I think being able to do some level of due diligence as either a systems integrator or as a customer will protect you from some of this stuff in the future. And if you look out there, I mean, all three of us on this call know it. If you pay attention, you can in the back of your head guess what may or may not be legitimate without having to do a lot of research. And then you can dive in once you see the solution.
Well, and I will add one more thing to what Joel said as another way to make sure that the technology is available. He said you can work around it, right? You can develop something better. You can also license it from the originals.
Correct.
Right? And that is specifically talking about ClickShare, specifically talking about Barco here. When Barco ClickShare first came out, a number of high-profile manufacturers said, that's really great, we're going to license it. Now, certainly there's been a number of folks that said, you know what, forget that, we'll just do it ourselves and we'll take our chances, and again, lawsuits and Dutch police. But there is still a number of folks who have engaged with Barco, and I'm specifically talking about ClickShare here, and said, you know what, we're not going to mess with it. We're not going to deal with lawyers. We'll just give you some money, and that way we can leverage your technology. So there's also a third option, I guess, is the best way to put that.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and being very, very festive. Cindy, if you're listening to this, Cindy has Christmas lights. Willie is dressed up as Santa Claus, and Joel looks like he's going to a luau. So
Here.
It's warm, Tim. It's hot. It's 80 degrees.
It's hot where you are. The rest of the three of us are freezing our butts off. So, Willie Franklin, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you?
You can reach me at franklandjservices@gmail.com. And, of course, you can reach me, Willie Franklin, on LinkedIn.
Cindy Davis, thank you, ma'am. How do people connect with you? How do they connect with SCN and all the other publications you guys have?
So best way to get all of our great content is avnetwork.com. That's content for SCN and AV Technology. And, of course, I'm on LinkedIn, Cindy Davis.
And Mr. Carroll, how do people connect with you, sir?
Best way to connect with me is LinkedIn. Easy to find me. It's the Joel Carroll. So if you need anything, reach out there. Or eventually, every once in a while, find me on AVNation with you, Tim, and they can see our shirts and antics.
And if someone wants to hire you because you are now a free agent, how do they connect with you?
The best way would be initially through my LinkedIn profile and message there. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, if you're smart, you'll go pick up that one. So for me, for Tim Albright, don't follow me. At this point, generally between Saturday afternoon and Sunday evening, I'm holding my breath for the Chicago Bears. But you can go by the website. AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. If you'd like to read stuff that I write that has nothing to do with technology or AV, you can connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like. I posted this week, I have an article up in the Forbes Council about storytelling, so you can check that out on LinkedIn. But go by the website, please. Mitchell does an awful lot of work on it. So AVNation.tv. As AVNation.tv. If you're watching us and you're tired of seeing my dumb face, you can go listen to us. Get us wherever you find your podcast. And if you're listening and you want to see the festive crew, I am not festive, but the other three are. You can go watch us on YouTube. So go by either one, but go by the website, AVNation.tv. It's AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AV Nation.
This is AV Nation.